You're listening to the Karmic Mirror podcast, where we explore the wisdom tucked within the layers of the self-help world.
Together, we bridge the gap between esoteric teachings and practical tools for everyday life, with self-love and personal growth at the heart of each conversation.
Whether you're a seasoned seeker or just beginning your path, join us and uncover the magic within and around you. There is a lot happening with this new moon in Scorpio, a lot of Scorpio energy kind of permeating through many different points. And so I want to I want to get into it because there's so many things. And as I'm learning, hi, Allie.
Same as you're sitting here and you are speaking. I just know that this season for me, I mean, I've been asking, be careful what you manifest for, but I've
Yeah.
really been thinking, I don't know that much about the Scorpio archetype. Geez, I really would like to know. And so I've been excited to get your perspective
Yeah.
because very three line, I feel as though I've been living it. So I was excited for this conversation to start connecting the dots. So what jumped up
Yeah.
for you about this new moon in Scorpio or whatever's going on with energy right now?
Yeah. So, first of all, it's a very scorpionic moment in time, simply because so much is happening in this particular sign. So, we have a new moon in Scorpio at 28 degrees in Scorpio happening on November 20th. I think on the East Coast, it's in the wee hours of the morning at like 1:47, 1:46, what have you. But either way, we have the new moon in Scorpio. We are also in Scorpio season. So the sun is in Scorpio. And when we have the new moon, it just so happens that the sun will also be at 28 degrees to Scorpio. So both at that same 28 degrees mark, like really, really potent. We also are in the midst of Mercury retrograde, which began in Sagittarius and then will retrograde as it's moving into Scorpio. So by the time that you are listening to this today, it'll be the new moon in Scorpio at 28 degrees. It'll be Scorpio season still at 28 degrees, just so happens. We'll have a Mercury retrograding happening in Scorpio around the 28 degrees of Scorpio. And a quick note, which I think we'll talk a little bit, we won't go into depth about, but on the 20th, on the same day, we have a Mercury cazimi. So a cazimi is when that sign, so Mercury and the sun conjunct, so they line up basically. And what I like to describe it as is like that instant where the sun blasts its light through that sign. So when we're already in Mercury retrograde, which Mercury is the planet of communication and information and all of those things, and we know that when it's retrograde, we're not moving forward, so to speak, on all of these things that have to do with communication and information. We're not moving forward business as usual. We're being asked to revisit, review in this period, really just go back and have a review of what's going
Is
on.
like not time to manifest, call stuff in. Aren't we also, isn't Jupiter in retrograde? Are you getting there? Or I heard there's like
No, but we
four or
can talk.
five
There's a lot of
planets as
planets.
well.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
lot of planets retrograde, but the ones that are happening in Scorpio are the ones I want to talk about. But so we have a
Yeah.
Mercury cazimi happening, right? But we're still in Mercury retrograde at the time of the new moon. And new moons traditionally it's a new beginning. It's the start of a cycle. So we talk a lot with new moons about setting intentions and maybe manifesting as well. However, maybe really shifting the way in which you look at this new beginning or manifesting while it's in Scorpio, because it's really, really powerful. But the other point in our chart that I think is worth noting, and some of my favorite astrologers have really talked about this, is the point in our chart that represents Black Moon Lilith. So Lilith is not, Black Moon Lilith isn't a point necessarily in the sky, it's a point in our charts. And I won't go into depth about that because it's like a little bit more deeper than my current understanding.
Yeah.
But what I can tell you about Lilith is Black Moon Lilith in particular, and also the archetype or the mythology of Lilith, is that for anyone listening, if you don't know, Lilith was the first wife of Adam and Eve, right? We always typically think of Adam and Eve as this first couple in the Garden of Eden, but Lilith was the first woman made at the same time as Adam, according to this mythology. So Lilith was Adam's first wife, and Lilith didn't believe that she needed to obey Adam and be underneath him in that traditional sense. She actually insisted that they were equals. And so she has this sort of rebellious spirit
Preach,
because,
Lilith. Preach.
right? And because she wasn't giving in or acquiescing to these traditional norms of you must obey your husband, right? She was like, no, we're equal. We are made at the same time. Like I'm woman, you are like, so the points in our chart where Black Moon Lilith is really represents not just our where we rebel, but really our shadow. So those unseen or shadow is really your repressed aspects of yourself. So Lilith
Mm.
represents the shadow. Lilith represents also our shame story because she left the Garden of Eden and was made queen of demons and just shamed for her rebellious nature. But it's not that rebellious to insist that you are equal to your partner. But in those times and the way that the story has been told over time, it was like told with a lot of shame.
Yeah.
So all of that in Scorpio. So Black Moon Lilith at the time of the new moon, with all this happening in Scorpio, right? We have these major luminaries. You have the sun, the moon, Mercury, all in Scorpio, all around the same degrees. Lilith is going to be at 26 degrees. So we're really close. And
Mhm.
there's a lot of Scorpio influence or a lot of Scorpio energy, which feels really potent and really powerful for all of this to be happening. And then you think about Scorpio. Scorpio is mystery and transmutation and shedding. And so I think of this new moon as not necessarily a moment to be like, I'm going to manifest at the end of the year, the end of the calendar year, and I'm going to make all this stuff happen. But perhaps I'm going to look really deep into these themes. Where am I still holding on to shame? Where am I holding on to shadow? And where am I ready to really shed those and move on to this level of my life? And I've heard the words a lot around this of deep desire and devotion. So and I think that desire can often go hand in hand with shame or shadow of like, what do I deeply desire, but I'm ashamed to admit?
Yeah.
Or my shadow doesn't want me to quite realize where I really desire, what I really desire for my life. And because there's so much power happening and because it's Scorpio, right? It's like, where are we transmuting that shame energy into something super powerful? Where in my life, and this could be where what comes up for you, but also, of course, where in your chart,
Yeah.
where am I really still holding on to little remnants of what I'm not allowing myself to fully embody when it comes to just my brazen desires? And I think where the Mercury Cazimi, that like shot of insight, it gives us, I think we're not there yet. Today's the 18th as we record, but I feel getting closer to this, like I've been dancing around all of these insights of where this lands in my chart personally of yeah, where am I learning? What are the lessons have I been learning? And there's more, there's so much that's come up around this. And I think we could talk about our where it lands for us personally a little bit, just because I think it's really cool. Um but this is all about depth, right? So when I think about manifesting in new moon intentions, I think about the deeper layers, the depth. So not like I'm gonna start a new project, outer world, because Scorpio, a couple cool things to note. One, Scorpio used to be ruled by Mars, but which is the god of war traditionally or ancient times, but it is ruled by Pluto. And Pluto in Greek mythology is also, so Pluto is the Roman name for the Greek god Hades, the god of the underworld. So all of that tells me what we're doing isn't maybe setting new intentions or manifesting, but we're awakening to deeper layers of our own psyche that we're shedding and we're awakening and we're like, and it feels so timely because I don't we're not quite fully into winter yet, but where I live, it feels like winter. It's been so dark at 4:30, but when you feel that darkness early in the day, it really shifts something in your mentally, emotionally, and energetically for you. It's like, and so when all of this happens, you're like, "Oh, I'm going into the depths, like I'm going into the dark, I'm excavating what else is there, like I'm just cleaning out whatever else is in my psyche that's really in my shadow that I want to really, really release. Like, what am I awakening to? What do I really, really desire? And what have I been working up towards to this point to let me see that? Because I think it takes work to even get to the deeper layers of what you really, really desire, because so much is layered on top of it, right? Like conditioning and ego and fears and all of the shadow self or our repressed qualities, right? If shadow is repressed, we have to do some digging to get deep down into it. And so I feel like, and I'm just going to throw in some Chinese zodiac because we're in the year of the snake 2025, right? So this whole year has been about shedding. We've been in the year of the wood snake. It's like slow and steady shedding and growth. And I feel like this is like the end of the calendar year. We have this new moon that's so potent, so powerful because all of these luminaries are happening or happen to be at the same degrees or around the same degrees of Scorpio, that it's like this last really deep dive of like, yep, like what else is there, like really go deep, because we've spent all this year working towards the shedding, that we're like, all right, let's get the last remnants as we move into 2026. And in Chinese zodiac is the year of the horse, the fire horse, no less. Like horse is like ready, let's move, we're more freedom and we want to move forward and we want to blaze forward. And so that's a lot of what's coming up for me. what pops up
Hi,
for
I'm
you
Allie.
hearing all of that?
I'm also the host here. I here. I think as you were talking, I was just thinking about how I've been experiencing it and Scorpio, and I was looking up real quick. I
Mm,
forgot where Scorpio was. Honestly, I think where I've just been approaching astrology is a little bit differently of let me experience what's going on and then let me
mhm.
learn a little bit about that because and that's very three line but Scorpio is in my third house, so how and where you create abundance. Jupiter in Scorpio in the third house of communication, daily rituals, siblings, and the extended family. Because yes, I mean so many ways the darkness really fucks with my with a lot of things. And so to your point, we were talking prior to the formal start of here, just reframing. And I mean,
Mhm.
even yesterday thinking about, I'm like, gosh, it's 5 and it's dark. And I was on my Peloton and then just being like, hey, maybe this winter season, you do just on your cardio days, do it in the evening and leave the lights off and close the door and tell yourself you're in a spin class studio, right? And
Yeah, yeah.
this is how we're gonna roll because it's like it's been miserable for me to get up in the morning and the colds, right? It's just not something my body has wanted to do. And also just the big depth things coming up are belonging, which
Hmm.
also
Yeah.
siblings, extended family makes very sense, third line, and safety. And a couple of
Hmm.
areas I wrote about it in our blog that we have about this new moon too, is financial safety, emotional
Yeah.
safety. It's just getting really loud. So I'm experiencing it. Yeah.
Really. Yes, Scorpio is in my 10th house of public facing life. This is my midheaven. I also have Pluto here. So,
Jupiter's in my Scorpio.
yeah,
Yeah, right? Is that?
I don't know. That's what you said, I think.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if I had said that.
Oh, I think so.
Okay.
Because you mentioned abundance, and Jupiter is definitely expansion, abundance, right? And Pluto is, yeah, I mean, it's Hades, it's god of the underworld. It's deep, again, more of those Scorpio themes. It rules Scorpio. So I have this like extra punch of this type of energy in the area of my life that is public facing. And what I've noticed when I think about all of these themes that I've talked about, that new awakening type energy. But in the themes of Scorpio, like the medicine of Scorpio is transformation by being raw truth, just straight up
Mm.
truth. It's uncomfortable. You have to confront, again, that psyche work, that's deep layers of confronting the truths that you don't want to see, or the shadow, like Lilith, the repressed emotions. And it's emotional depth, not dramatics. It's reclamation of your power. To me, that's so Scorpio energy is like reclamation, like
I
shedding,
love that word.
right?
Yeah, for this.
Um, And the other theme that's come up for me is intimacy and vulnerability as a source of strength and not a source of shame or shadow.
Hmm.
And those are some of the themes. Like when I think of my public facing life, right? This is in my 10th house. I have in the end, when I consider what have I been working towards all year to get me to this point where I'm ready to face those truths with a different type of vulnerability and use it as a strength and wield it rather than be crippled by it, if that makes sense. And so I
Yeah.
think about the ways that, in my 10th house of public facing life, oftentimes I experience big shifts and changes in my career path. And there's also that flavor of being a manifesting generator and wanting
Yeah,
to
for
move
sure.
on and pivot. And so I think about how my life, my public facing life, and i.e., like how I show up in the world or career wise or what have you, how I share things online or through my writing or whatever it is, has gone through a lot of transformations and different changes and just having to shed parts of my persona that I thought that I held on to for safety. And so we have, and I won't go into too much detail, but my husband and I are going into, as you know, Allie, we're going into this
Mhm.
new business venture in the coming year, or right now we've been in the midst of. And that experience of taking on this new business that's at the same time familiar and also very new of an experience, the way that we're doing it has required me to really confront all of the financial and business shadows that I've had and be really vulnerable with my partner versus keeping it separate and not sharing, right? I've had to literally lay myself bare and in that way and just be super, super honest and confront these truths so that I can move on, so I can shed all of what I believed I was capable of and believed that I could accomplish or experience in this lifetime, especially doing it in partnership, because for so long I thought that I was supposed to be, that I couldn't have that kind of partnership where we shared things vulnerably and it made us stronger. So I've had to confront a lot of that throughout this year, like microdosing these learnings to this
Yeah.
point where it's coming to fruition. And I'm like, okay, I had to come face to face with these truths and not run away from them anymore because it's time to confront them, see them for what they are, accept them, and move forward. Transmute that energy of
Yeah.
shame and resentment and feeling like, oh, you can have these things because you were set up for success and I wasn't, right? All of these beliefs, when those were just that, they were stories, they were beliefs, and they were really deep in my psyche, and they still are, like they're still there. I just think that what's happening now is allowing me to see them for what they are and not make them mean something so deep about me as a person
Yeah.
anymore. And allowing us to do all of that, like confronting all of this shame and shadow, the uncomfortable truths, is setting me up. And that's what I mean too about this winter or this dark, right? It's like all happening in the perfect mix. It's really like the perfect little cauldron mix of like Scorpio transmutation and Mercury and Lilith and the new moon and the sun all happening at the same time as our outer season is showing us like this darkness that it's like, yeah, it's okay to be here and let all of this happen in the mix. And because as you do, like something is, you get to level up, I think.
Hmm.
And I brought up the Chinese zodiac because it just feels so symbolic. I was talking to Kristen, who was a guest on the podcast previously, and we were talking about that, like this energy of, we were joking, we were laughing and saying like, for so long, we were like, yeah, it's the year of the snake. We're going to be shedding. And then
Ugh,
when we start shedding, we're like, shit, why are we doing this?
I
Because yes,
know.
even though logically we knew it was coming, but that's a very different thing than when you're in the process and you're like, why am I shedding so much? I'm not ready. And when are you ready? But truly,
Yeah.
it feels like this moment where it's like we're really getting that last of the dig out. And it's not the last, the final, right? I'm sure we'll confront these themes in the future, but I do think there's something to do with it happening now at the end of the
Yeah.
calendar year, the Gregorian calendar year, so that we move into something that we're ready to move forward, like we're ready to take action on the things that we really desire because we've done this deep psyche work to start believing that we are worthy of the desires. Does that make sense too? I think.
Yeah.
So like the reclamation of our power. And I just, yeah, I think the big thing for me was just, again, I think coming to terms with intimacy and vulnerability being a source of strength and awakening to that truth versus it being something I am supposed to be ashamed of or hide just for my own self and not be open with people. And I think I feel that because of social media, we have gotten really confused about what it means to be vulnerable and what it for the masses of like, I'm going to share this story with you. That's part of it, but I think there's a deeper layer of vulnerability when you start to I don't know, do something different with that energy. I'm not really sure. I mean, I think part of it is like yeah, I don't know. It's been coming a lot up too, because as I notice as I'm writing like my newsletters, I'm feeling this like like if I write a monthly newsletter, oftentimes because I've waited 4 weeks or however long in between, it's like this big topic of like it's to do with my inner child and stuff that I'm
Yeah, let's grow.
relearning. And I'm like at this point where I'm like, yes, this feels good. It's therapeutic to write about this and do it from a different point of view and feel super empowered by these stories. And at the same time, I'm like, okay, but I'm feeling the call to just like bring more lightness and shift the even not always having to talk about the deeper stuff, but like, what else do I have to say? And so that's been some of the things coming up for me. I know we haven't even talked about Liz's reading at all, which is totally cool because you're going to listen to the reading after this.
Mhm.
But I do love what Liz, in the terms of the questions that she pulled, that she pulled for, what am I shedding? What am I transforming? I think that's very appropriate for the season and the moon that we're in. Liz
Yeah.
talks about not manifesting on this new moon. And she also mentioned something about it feeling maybe for some a little chaotic. And I think that's fair. Like to what you said, deep psyche work, Scorpio is not rainbows and sunshine. Scorpio is the depths. It's the god
Yeah.
of it's going into the underworld of your psyche and letting yourself be okay with that.
Yeah.
And trans, again, transforming or transmuting that energy into something that you don't have to fear.
Yeah. Well, I also think it's this heavy, fucking gnarly stuff that even like, oh, just look for the light feels a little, for me, frustrating, even though I have been doing that. Right? Where it feels for me this deep stuff.
Yeah.
Again, we're coming and we're bringing up again. And yes, we can, it's like that, know it all, the shedding and the things. And for me, my discernment is like, is this the season in the energies? Is this, I'm just having a low emotional wave? Am I about ready to get my period? And so
Mhm.
energies are also there. And just really needing to just be present in it and not
Yeah.
get too deep into it. And I think three line and very also, to your point, the tangible thing, like vulnerability isn't always a tangible thing. It shows up
Mhm.
in a lot of different ways, and including actions when people aren't even watching. I think it's just this last weekend is a good example because I had made plans to see one of the women that I went on the retreat with, the Triple Moon Goddess retreat. And I was just, I've just been feeling this heaviness, this overwhelm, trying to honor that. And like the short story is that I think Source was like, no, you're going to welcome somebody into these emotions who also, the short story is when we did meet up on Sunday, same themes for us to talk through, right?
Yeah.
And I think to your point, it's that energy, it's welcoming, having vulnerability and not sitting alone with it. And just the discernment, though, of what's better for me. And it was almost as though I'm like, this is my emotional wave. Things are going to come out. I'm like
Yeah.
waiting because my body, I was feeling anxious in my body. I was just feeling,
Mhm.
still feeling it more so in my body. And I was like, okay, we can deal with this today. And then I went to the grocery store, and the short story is there were these little boys outside raising money for safety patrol trip to DC.
Mhm.
And they're there with their moms, and I come out and I just ask them what they were raising money for. And then, of course, I'd happened to have cash. I never have cash. And this little boy, when I was pulling away, was so excited. And it was floodgates. I just started, I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
I could not even breathe. And I was sitting there and I just had this presence of knowing, one, I was, to your point, I was just so thankful. Even financially not being where I want to be, you still had money to give to this child. And two, yeah, it's that belonging piece of the shadow that's coming up now. And it just so quickly took me back to like, that was me. I was that kid.
Yes.
And I was the one of the three or two or, very low amounts on all of the sports teams that I played on that would have to show up for the car washes, would have to go to the grocery stores and ask for money, or else I wasn't going. And I could just see it all so clear. And, and then floodgates started opening. And then my mom called, and I just was like, okay, I know, universe, but that's kind of how it's felt. So I've just been trying to be really present because that's also the thing is like the triggers will come up, and I hate to use the word trigger, but I giggled a little bit when you were talking earlier. Is it's almost like if you don't see the things, they're going to start to come up too. So I'm
Yeah,
seeing a lot of that coming up now too. Is like around that safety and the belonging.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's not much else you can do but be present in it, right? Because if we're not, then we're thinking about trying to unconsciously or consciously put an expectation on whatever it is,
Yeah.
or that it's supposed to feel a certain way. And the truth is, it's probably not going to feel very pretty. It's probably not, and that's okay. That's part of it, is being cool with that. It's
Yeah.
like, and that's what I love about the seasonal layer of this all is kind of, I don't love that it gets dark at 4:30. I don't like it, but what am I going to do? It's happening either way. I can't control the seasons. I
Yeah.
have to just be in it. And so that means I shift how I do life for this moment. It means we get more fires in the house, and it means that I wear more layers of clothes. Like you shift into whatever it is you need in that moment. And I think what's
Yeah.
cool about the Mercury retrograde happening in that it's in Scorpio at this particular time is that you may be getting all of these, like I said, like dancing around the insights, like things are coming to you, you're getting little downloads or what have you, because this is psyche work, this is depth work, and
Yeah.
it's shadow, and it's all of that. And so with Mercury retrograding, it's like you're not here to, and the same reason why we're saying don't necessarily feel compelled or feel like you have to manifest or do it, start anything, because it's already happening. Everything that's happening in your psyche, it's happening whether you want it to or not, just like the
Yeah.
season. And so with the Mercury retrograde here, it's telling us you don't have to act on this right now. You have to actually just get yourself prepared. You have to confront these things, or you have to be with whatever's coming up. Allow this powerful moment to just go with the flow of whatever is happening.
Yeah.
Take note, however you're going to do. If you want to sit and reflect on it, write about it, write about the things that you truly desire that maybe you weren't ready to fully embrace up until this point, that maybe you're feeling ready to really be like, yeah, I freaking want this for my life. That's how I feel, right? This public facing life. I'm like, I want this. I want to feel emboldened and empowered in my public facing life and in the way that I do business and the way that I partner and the way that I show, the way that I express intimacy and vulnerability. I desire for that to be a strength and for that to help guide how I show up in the world. And I can finally admit that I want that, and I don't have to be ashamed or embarrassed that these are things that I want. And I don't have to keep listening to that part of me that's like, no, you can't have those things because you weren't given, that's not, like you weren't born into this or whatever it is,
Yeah.
right? And so it's,
And that is that Emperor card that really resonated with me in the poll, that third one of that confidence too. So that's
huh?
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, the inner confidence. Yes, with Liz's
Mhm.
reading, it's like let yourself be in your own space and reflect on whatever's coming through. And you don't have to act on any of it right now because it's already taking place. It's already in action. It's already in momentum. But it also reminds me of that saying of like go slow to go fast. And for
Hmm.
me, like if you lay the groundwork, I mean, as you may have been doing all year, but this is like that layer of solid foundation, that last layer of like, yes, I'm ready to, I may not be fully healed or moved on from all these deep layers. I mean, how can you? That's you're
Are we ever, right?
yes, but like I'm ready to come to terms with it so that I can freaking move forward to this next layer or level of my life, of my desires, and be in true devotion to that and not be afraid of my depth and not be afraid of my shadow. And I can actually, it's like my what is your weakness, right? Like those can often be, to go back to those old school interview tactics, right? You're like, oh, what's your greatest strength and what's your weakness? And you're like, I can flip my weakness around. But this is like a actual, like real, truthful,
Sometimes
honest.
being I'm too detail oriented.
I'm way too action oriented. I just like really, yeah. But it's like a real actual embodiment of that
Yeah.
idea, but done in integrity. Like the
Yeah.
things that I thought I should be ashamed for or that were weaknesses for so long, I can actually wield them in a way that feels so deeply satisfying and right in the way that I move forward. They're no longer a weakness at all, actually. It's the way that I perceived them, the way that I thought that they were, that was the weakness, but the actual
Yeah.
act of it wasn't at all. So, yeah, a lot going on. Black Moon Lilith, hey,
Yeah. And I
get into it.
get into it. And just friendly reminder, I can't remember which astrologer was talking about this, that we are meant to have down times. And that
Yeah.
also means during busy holidays times. And I know Liz talks about that as well. And that's really been helpful for me just to think about I can't always be go, go, go. I can't always be on.
Hmm.
And the programming that I have that you have to snap out of that in an hour and 30 minutes, a whole day, you haven't snapped out of it in a day, right? That's just not how life works. And so that's been the big messaging here for me is letting it come up and just taking it moment by moment of how I can work for my highest good during this time and not get so caught up in the right and the wrong of it, of like, don't manifest. But now you're telling me to write down things that I'm calling it, right? It's just kind of like do whatever is best for your highest good is the theme that I'm running through. And that's why I brought up that emperor because I've started to
Yeah,
see, yes, that's the reflection back to I'm gaining some confidence in some areas and all the things.
totally. Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot that's asking us to, yeah, just not live in fear of
Hmm.
the what ifs, of the made up beliefs. And I think the big themes are, again, it's Scorpio. So we're always going to talk a little bit about releasing the emotional baggage. So if you are listening and you maybe do subscribe to any type of cord cutting or release or forgiveness work, I think this is a good point to look at that. I think that goes hand in hand with the desire and the devotion of where are we still holding on to the emotional baggage? Where are we still holding on to the things that the crutch, the things that are yeah, I don't know, getting in the way of just being unapologetic and embodying a little bit more of your Black Moon Lilith type of energy of like, no, I get to be your equal and I don't need to be underneath anyone or anything. And that includes your own psyche, your own shadow. I get to
Yeah.
be, I have a word, and maybe this is all really present for me because I just wrote this long, which I'm like, this is a long newsletter. I hope people read it about the inner voice. And I think I was even questioning myself on, I'm like, I'm writing about inner voice and I'm writing about inner dialogue, but I'm not writing about the inner voice that's like, you're not enough, because that's not the inner voice I experienced. And I was like, are people going to understand this? And just this dialogue with myself after I wrote this whole essay. So it's all like, it's all so present. And I would
Yeah.
just say, like, if any our whole conversation today is literally circling around like the stuff that's heavy, the stuff that we don't necessarily want to come to terms with, but also having no choice about it because it's there and having to
Yeah.
just be with it. And that's it. Like, don't, not trying to maybe even do anything different with it, just seeing it, letting it, have some air. I think that's the big one is just letting it breathe and because it's moving either way. Like we don't really, it's happening.
Yeah.
Happening. The last note I had here, my notes was about this particular new moon is exploring what we fear losing. Because sometimes what we are afraid to lose are like totally we need to lose. Like, like we hold on to these limits, we hold on to the beliefs, we hold on to the shame and the shadow because it's become a part of your personality. If you've
Yeah.
lived for 30 plus years or however many years underneath, so to speak, these beliefs, then they become a part of who you are in so many ways. And it can be really scary to lose those. But there's so much empowerment that happens when we loosen the attachment to all of that.
Yeah. That's my life coach said to me when my role was eliminated. She was like, "Oh, girl." She's like, "You've been afraid about having no money and in scarcity about no money since we started working together, and here you are making the most money you've ever made in your whole life. You're doing just great, and you're still scared. So what does
Yeah.
Source do? They took it away from you because you got to clean that up, right?" And
Yeah.
so that's what I was thinking about when you were talking. And yeah, I think you're spot on with that theme is like not in a fearful way. It's going to come up. And how can we just hold space for ourselves with grace and love and kindness? And yeah, just identify what we need and
Yeah.
let it be enough if that's as far as we get during this new moon, because it's also life be life in. And if you're,
Yeah. Yeah, that's
celebrating the
exactly
holiday
it.
season too. People are asking a lot of you. There's lots to do. So just self-care,
Yeah,
self-love.
and don't be afraid to rebel and say no. Do whatever the hell you want because, like Lilith, people are going to make up stories about you either way and they're going to put their own projections and shame on you even though thousands of years later we're like, "Oh, wait, she
Let
was right."
Tom bake his own pie this year,
Yes,
okay?
she was right. Like, yeah, she is his equal. In fact, I don't know. She was biologically created as a woman to give freaking birth and create life and be the most creative force on the planet, whether or not you choose to have human life or not. So that's that. Clearly, I have some soapboxes, but
I feel like we're
I,
bringing a little Scorpio energy.
yes, I hate to keep talking but whatever. This new moon reading that you're going to hear after
Yeah.
this from Liz, like this is our episode for the week because it just warranted its own place. So this will be a regular episode. But for me personally, my dad is a Scorpio, and there's a lot there with my relationship with my dad and how it's impacted so much of my life and my own shadow work and my own just trauma and everything can kind of in many ways circle or really trace back to this particular dynamic in my life. And I think for maybe the first time, I'm really feeling a shift in the way I view just the Scorpio energy in general. I've always been like, the scorpion, they'll sting you. And they are so charming and they're so good at deceiving and making everyone believe one thing. But that was my personal view of Scorpio and the energy that Scorpio brings. And when you do the work and you confront the hard truths and you work to just be accepting of all of that. You don't even have to freaking love it. You don't have to embrace it. Just accept it for what it is. It's incredible to see the way that you can shift your perspective. And you're like, okay, Scorpios aren't just about killing people. I'm just kidding. They aren't about stinging people, I should say. There's more to it. There's more to it. And there's so much depth in there that has nothing to do with the Scorpios in your life. Although I will say I have a whole newfound appreciation for anytime we get to unpack things, it gives me a new insight, new appreciation, and expanded perspective of these energies. And the same goes for Scorpio. So thanks, and I'm sorry to all the Scorpios I offended.
We love you. We love you, Scorpios.
Yeah, there's medicine in there too. So along with the poison. All right. Well, anyways, Anything else before the reading? I hope you guys enjoy Liz's reading for the collective. And again, if you have your own natal chart handy, look at what house Scorpio lands in for you, right? Allie's is in her third house. I think that's work and home. Oh, no, what is third house? Is
Is it communication,
communication. You're right. Yeah,
siblings, extended family? There was something else, but
totally. And
yeah.
mine is in the 10th house of public facing life. I happen to have Pluto in this house. So first, if you have your natal chart handy, look at where Scorpio lands, the house number, look at what area of your life that represents, and I'm sure you'll have plenty to consider there. And if you want to go deeper, you can look at what planets are in or around 28 degrees of Scorpio and look at what that planet represents. What type of energy is also kind of influencing the way that you're experiencing this new moon. And, do you. Don't be afraid to manifest if that's what you want. But I would really suggest that you look at maybe flipping the script on new intentions and manifesting to what insights, what am I awakening to? What truths am I really seeing differently now? And then see what else comes up for you. You have like so much power to and so much wisdom to really, yeah, your body, all of it knows so much. So curious to know.
Yeah. Take care, Karmic Mirror community. Enjoy the reading.
Hi, witches. I'm back. This is your favorite witch, Liz Pratt of Fireside Healing, back for your new moon tarot reading. This new moon is happening in the sign of Scorpio. It is November, late autumn, the end of a 9-year. So, we're going to be talking about shedding. This is the energy of closing out cycles, of little deaths, energetic deaths, things coming to a close, culmination of things. And this new moon in Scorpio, let me tell you guys, this is not one to manifest on. This is a little chaotic. This is going to shake things up a little bit, but it is shaking things up in order to let go of what we just cannot carry into the end of the year and the new year. So let's get right into it. I have pulled 3 cards. The first card represents what's dying off, what's shedding. Second card is what is transforming in our lives. And the third card is what is this transformation leading us to, or what are we being asked to step boldly into? So let's get right into it. This first card of what is dying off, what is being shed, is the 10 of Wands. The 10 of Wands is all about burdens. It's about trying to hold everything and everyone and trying to soldier on and keep going, checking all the boxes, moving at this like hyper productive pace, and really speaks to what happens when we just don't listen to our bodies, don't listen to our energy. And this is the 10 of Wands is like a recipe for a crash out, right? So we're getting into the holiday season. Times are really crazy. I'm sure you're feeling it in the collective right now. And what this 10 of Wands feels like is this isn't asking you, this is more gently telling you, advising you to stop trying to go to every event or plan all of the parties or, shop Black Friday, buy all the things, have the best holiday ever. Like, this is really asking you to put down the load that you're carrying and stop picking up so much. If you feel tired or exhausted, or like the things that you are engaged in that once lit you up are not exciting you or you're not interested in them anymore, it's because they are ending. It's because it's their time to go. And you'll see the picture if you read the Karmic Mirror post. You'll see the picture that I'm looking at, and it a witch. She's got 10 flaming torches in her backpack, and she's also carrying a small child, and she's like trying to continue this journey. And it's a journey that's not worth continuing. So this is a time where, even though we're moving into like slower, colder months, everything in our culture, in our society is like, you need to show up more. You've got to get the perfect gifts for everyone. You've got to be all of the places at once. If we have any like busy moms listening to this, you know that the holiday season is nuts. But energetically speaking, this is the time to put an end to that kind of mentality and that like that energy of like overproducing and overstretching. We're just not going to do it this year. We can't, and things have to shift and change. And why not let the change start with you, right? So the second card we have of what is transforming is incredible because it's the Knight of Pentacles. Now, if you've been listening to these readings, if you've been following along, you know that the Knight of Pentacles has been in, I think, the previous two, or if not three, I might be mistaken there, but the Knight of Wands the Knight of Pentacles has been with us for a few readings now. And typically the Knight of Pentacles speaks to, you know, like practical actions, taking some accountability. She's the bridge between the divine and our 3D reality. And she teaches like how to move with informed, like how to move in a way that is both like informed and practical. And she helps us move towards our goals, you know, one foot in front of the other. So it's more slow paced. But in this specific reading for what is transforming, I feel like this is about beginning to shift our mindset from not enough, nothing's ever enough, I need more, to it is enough and I'm enough. So in this image, she's with a bison. The bison is also, it's like part of the earth. So you can even see some of the flowers and like grass and meadow on the bison's back. And this to me symbolizes how to move in time with nature. We have been conditioned to believe that we need to expand and grow endlessly and that we need to do it really fast in order to attain all of the things we want and desire, right? Like we live in a capitalist society. Everything's about more, grow, get the things that you want. It's always that. Those are the answers that everyone's seeking is like, how can I manifest more money? How can I grow this? How can I grow my business? How can I move up? It's always that energy. But we can't just continue to expand and to grow. Nothing in nature does that. I mean, even if we think about like an herb like mint or like mugwort, which is invasive here in the East Coast, and it feels like it grows and grows and grows, there eventually is a stopping point. And the Knight of Pentacles here is telling us that not only is it enough, but that you are enough. So we're transforming our internal dialogue, our mindset, and our energy from I need more, to, you know what? I'm enough and I can take my time and I can grow naturally and beautifully. I was just listening to a podcast with a woman who is talking about how she wants to be left behind by AI. She's like, everybody's telling me if you don't use AI, you're going to be left behind. And she said, I want to be left behind. I want to be left behind because I want to grow as nature intended. Because if you grow as nature intends, then you will ultimately be successful. It may take a little bit more time, but you're going to have a sturdier tree. If you grow and grow and grow with no limitations very quickly, guess what? A windstorm's going to come through. You don't have the roots to hold down that tree and you're going to blow right over. So that's what I'm feeling here with this Knight of Pentacles. And then finally, what is this transformation leading us into? we have the Emperor in reverse, which is this inner sense of confidence. This is the power and confidence that comes from within that you create for yourself. This is truly the I am enough mentality. You do not gain power. You don't really gain power from followers or subscribers or clients, right? Like the power actually comes from within. It comes from your confidence when you decide that you are absolutely worthy, that you can and should and must take up the space, fill the space that you were meant to fill. No one else can tell you that. You may have the clients and subscribers and followers that mirror that for you, but that's not where the power lies. The power comes from within always. And when we start shifting our mindsets and moving in time and in rhythm with nature, letting go of the false narratives, letting go of the mindset of like, I need, because that is a scarcity mindset. We will be led into a place where we are able to cultivate our own internal power. And once we have that, you are unshakable, you're unstoppable. So if you are feeling this new moon, you could be feeling high emotions today. Maybe your energy is a little buzzy. Just remember to take very good care of yourself today and for the next few days, especially. Get plenty of rest, drink water. If you have big feelings coming through, worries, fears, just sit with them, right? Like there's no solution or solve for the big feelings that come with such an intense new moon and with Scorpio energy. What comes up needs to just come up, be acknowledged so that you can integrate it, move through it, and inevitably just let it go. So I will be recording some affirmations and a little bit of a ritual for this new moon, but take care of yourself, witches, and check back next month for the next reading. Hey, witches. All right, so this is an exercise or a ritual that will help you really ground and integrate the insight from this new moon in Scorpio reading. So what it's going to be is breath of fire paired with the affirmation, I am enough. And it's really funny to me that I am being led or guided to sharing this with you because I've got one hell of a cold and I've got a super stuffy nose. But you know what? We're going to go with it because breath of fire is one of those just incredible exercises that clears stuff from your lungs. So like physically, it's removing toxins from the body. It's helping you remove toxins from the blood. And energetically speaking, all of that stuff that is getting shaken up and like tossed around that we are shedding during this season, it's kind of still hanging out in our field. So this really helps you clear it. So this is good for you physically, spiritually, emotionally, energetically. Breath of fire is amazing. You can either do this for 1 minute or for 3 minutes. And I would suggest doing this, if you can, every day in the morning before you start your day for the rest of this lunation. So for the, at least 3 days in a row, this is really going to help you integrate the energies. So how you start breath of fire, you breathe in through your nose and fill up your whole belly like, and then you force the air out of your mouth quickly. So it's, and all while pumping your navel. So you're going to be doing breath of fire while holding that affirmation in your heart space. So like feel it in your mind, feel it around you. Imagine, if you're very visual, imagine that affirmation sitting in your heart. If you are more clairsentient, just feel that energy around you, but keep that affirmation in your mind and in your heart as you do breath of fire. Enjoy. And if you feel called to work with me more closely, head over to my Instagram. My handle is at Fireside Healing. Check the link in the bio and book a call for a free mini tarot session. We'll chat, we'll get to know each other. I'll read some cards and you can work with me. So check back next month for another new moon reading and enjoy, witches. Take care of yourselves.
Thanks for tuning in. If you resonate with today's conversation, connect with us on Instagram at Karmic Mirror Podcast and send us a message.
And don't forget to subscribe wherever you listen. And if you're loving Karmic Mirror, we'd appreciate a glowing review or a share with someone who could benefit.
As we close, remember, life is not a one-size-fits-all approach. How are you honoring your unique path? Stay curious and always be kind to yourself. Until next time on Karmic Mirror.